I've played a lot of survival games in my life, whether it's your more traditional games about surviving like The Forest of Stranded Deep, or the more PvP-oriented ones like DayZ or Rust. Even though those are fun, I think they can get boring after a while. I think some of the best survival games are ones that stray away from the traditional formula. Games that put a higher emphasis on other aspects of survival, such as the exploration and the combat. They're more entertaining in my opinion. In these games, there's a lot less and a lot more of. Yeah, not really fair to compare them. But my main issue with these games is that after a while, it's too easy to survive. So what if you only had one life, and any mistake you made could cost you hundreds of hours? This is normally called hardcore. What? Huh? What? He literally went through the wall.
No! Really? That's how I die? Oh my god, I'm fucking stupid. I'm fucking stupid.
Vanilla Minecraft boils down to two main things: mining and crafting. But in hardcore Minecraft, it feels like all you do is mine and mine and mine, and after you get bored of actually finding stuff, you can go to the nether and look for ancient debris. Since the main way of getting stronger in Minecraft is mining, and if you can do it safely from a 2x1 tunnel, then there's nothing stopping you going into a cave with a stone pickaxe and leaving with a full set of diamond armor. And after you enchant it, there really isn't anything that can kill you, especially if you have totems of undying or elytra. So now you might ask, why don't you just stay with your garbage gear for the game to be challenging? Well, not only does this defeat the whole purpose of progression, it also means that any fun and interesting projects like farms or builds are now going to take much longer, and the materials are going to be much harder to acquire. Now, the pressure of losing your whole world can really get to people, especially if you spent so much time on it. So why don't you just fake death?
Has this ever happened to you? Picked a fight you can't win? Fell down a hole? Drunk driving? No more. Introducing the Totem of Undying. Just hold it up like so, and you don't have to worry about your mistakes. For only a small price of building a farm you saw in a YouTube video, you could also live forever, and now only for a limited time. Get the brand new elytra. Forget walking around like a schmuck. Just fly. It's better than any other sort of transportation, so don't even bother finding an alternative.
So, after getting all this gear, what is your reward? Well, you can kill 4 bosses and get a sponge, or you can automate everything. Build a massive farm for no reason, or maybe even a giant black hole in the end. Since you reached peak strength early, there isn't really anything motivating you to go on further. Enter RLCraft. This mod pack flips Minecraft on its head. For the people who actually go outside, RLCraft is a mod pack that aims to make Minecraft harder to the point of being almost unfair. But with this difficulty comes great rewards, if you can make it that far. Forget Minecraft's easy early game, because now it's almost unplayable. We can attribute most of this pain to one mod in particular, the First Aid mod. This mod makes your health divided between your different body parts, And if your head or your chest reaches 0 health, you die. This leads to countless things one-shotting you, even if you have decent armor. Okay, fine. Let me just go strip mine and get OP gear. What? Yep, a new skills mechanic means you actually have to play the game to get the best items. And even if you get the best items, you still need to get a lot more XP to enchant them. So even with full enchanted diamond armor, you're still a long way away from the end game. And that's the main difference between RLCraft and Minecraft. The main way to get strong in RLCraft is to fight, which I think is better than the boring task of breaking a couple blocks. And this one gameplay aspect is what makes RLCraft amazing for hardcore. You're always taking risks, you're always fighting, you're always exploring, and when you're not, you're brewing wine or taming evil demons. However, RLCraft is not perfect. I think there's too much chance involved when trying to find better items, such as enchants or dungeons, and the way damage is calculated, it leads to a lot of unfair deaths, which is the last thing you want in a hardcore world. The challenging early game means most people won't experience the best of RLCraft, but when you do, it only gets harder from here. Also, remove instability.
I think that might be danger sense.
Terraria was not made to be beaten quickly. It's clear that the main objective is to provide a laid-back experience that focuses on building and exploring the world. So, as you can imagine, the start of the game is extremely slow. Especially with gathering wood and building your base, it's not something you want to repeat over and over again. Finding the resources to make a better weapon in the early game all takes time. However, in the early game, there's a high variety of weapons that you can pick, so it's not too dull. Now there's one thing that all Terraria players are scared of in the early game.
Traps in the caves and they hit you with that. With that poison that ain't going back. All you can do is run like a strat. We be smoking that only like pack. Yeah, I be getting high with the Eye of Cthulhu. I be drinking purple like it's PVA glue. So don't take my life up, cause I'm gonna shoot you.
Traps, like in real life, have tricked me into going into a hole that I thought was safe to later find out I'm poisoned. They are what killed me the most at the start of my runs, which is mostly due to me being lazy. They are really easy to see if you hold a pressure plate or a wire item, and if you're paying attention, you'll have no trouble seeing them on the ground or on the walls. Another path you could take is going down to one of the harder biomes and trying to snowball your way to better items. The jungle has really hard-hitting enemies and hard to traverse terrain, but with that comes lots of good rewards. Lots of life crystals and really strong weapons like the boomstick and armor and weapons you can craft from materials in the jungle. These items can easily carry you from all of pre-hard mode. Much like a divorced gambler, you've got nothing left to lose in the early game. So bet your life on finding something good in the jungle, even if the odds are against you. I also want to talk about Terraria's endgame, and the power of 400 damage slimes in Master Mode. At this difficulty, all enemies scale their damage and health as the game progresses. This means that a zombie that you one-shot before now poses the same threat as a possessed armor in hard mode. Whilst keeping the challenge high, it doesn't seem necessary, as the new enemies introduced still pose a major threat, so I think the scaling is not needed. Now, I did talk about mods for Minecraft and how they change hardcore. However, that's because Minecraft sucks and needs mods to be good. Mods for Terraria do not change the gameplay loop or pacing, so playing hardcore with any large content mods such as Calamity or Thorium just adds more for you to do, and mods such as Calamity that have heaps of post-Moonlord content will probably give you long-term heart problems with some of its final bosses. I think Terraria's gameplay loop was made with dying and learning from your mistakes in mind, which, now with hardcore, makes it even more punishing and defeats this whole cycle.
Let's be careful from now on.
I would definitely recommend playing hardcore if you're an experienced player looking to challenge yourself in a new and interesting way. However, the slow early game of Terraria makes it very hard for me to recommend you playing this regularly. But maybe I'm just salty.
Careful.
That is such There's one last game I want to touch on. and in my experience, it's a controversial one.
A janky, boring, rude game.
That shit's ass.
Valheim is a game that was super popular like 2 years ago, but after some delays of updates, the game fell into obscurity. However, over the past, while many updates have been released, and even though the hype for the game might have been reduced, the quality of these updates are still great. So as someone who is quite experienced in this game, let me show you why I think Valheim is the best hardcore survival game. First, let's talk about what makes Valheim's hardcore so much different than other games. In most games, the harder difficulty just means the enemies do more damage and can take more damage. Well, not in Valheim. While the HP and the damage are increased of the enemies, the chance for a rare enemy to spawn are also increased. Now, these rare enemies are harder to kill, way harder, but also drop a lot more of their items. This gives an interesting choice to the player. Are you gonna risk fighting this very strong creature and gain a lot of rewards from doing it? Or will you be a little baby and run away? Speaking of combat, it's another thing that makes Valheim so good. The combat in Valheim is described as a weird rock, paper, scissors. Resistances to different damage types are really important, and the damage boost you get from using the right weapon is very substantial. Also, certain enemies have clear exploitable weaknesses that basically make them useless. The best example are the Grey Dwarfs, who are scared of fire, so holding a torch won't let them melee attack you or get close to you. Instead, they'll do their best impression of an Arabic man who just saw a woman's ankles.
حمود حبيبي حمود حمود حبيبي حمود حبيبي حمود حمود حبيبي.
However, holding a torch only scares the basic Grey Dwarfs. This singles out some of the stronger variants of the Grey Dwarfs, like the Shaman or the Brute, which makes killing these special varieties way easier. This is especially good as the Shaman is quite annoying, as he can poison you and then run off to heal his friends. Having such a wide variety of weaponry might mean that you're prepared for any encounter. However, this is at the cost of your inventory space, so it's best to find a balance that suits you. So, how do you actually progress in this silly Viking game? Well, of course, killing things that look different than you. But with that comes a steep price. After you kill one of these bosses, they are more than happy to send their goons to your home to raid you, giving you the experience of being a local business owner in 2021. This leaves the player with a couple of options. Do you leave your base undefended and fight off the hordes? Or do you want to fortify your home and make it easier to defend and spend more materials doing so? This is what I think separates Valheim from other sandbox survival games, as there isn't really a correct answer for anything, and the player is rewarded for thinking of clever ways to overcome obstacles. Some examples: the mountains are too cold to go, so just make a campfire, and you keep making campfires and you go up, 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 up. Or you can brew a frost resistance potion and make your way up that way. And there's probably some other ones my puny brain can't think of. One of the most important decisions you make in the early game, whether to kill the first boss and make progression easier but raids harder, or to leave the boss and make progression harder but the raids easier. Now, what I think is the most important part of a survival sandbox game is the pacing. A survival game with good pacing is always going to keep you engaged, and there's always going to be something for you to do. For example, Minecraft has no pacing. It lets you do whatever you want, whenever you want. You can get the best gear at the start of the game, or you can build a house or a farm if you want. Now, Terraria is quite special as the game starts off slow. However, after the first boss or two, the game gets really good.
Wake up, it was Scout, right? Yo, we need some Narcan over here! Yo, are you alright? Wake up! Wake up! We need Narcan! As much as I love 2D Minecraft, after the Wall of Flesh, the game does revert to its slow nature, which is not inherently a bad thing, but after the high you get from killing all the bosses and that fast progression, hard mode is really a slap in the face. So what makes Valheim's pacing so good? I think it's because there's always more than one way to do something. Now this might sound dumb, but hear me out. Even something as simple as cutting down trees can be done in multiple ways. You can cut down the trees one by one like a pleb, or you can use tactics similar to the ones they use in the Amazon. By getting a tree to fall on top of another tree, it does crazy damage. And then that tree falls onto another tree, and then that tree falls onto another tree, and before you know it, you don't have a forest anymore. This freedom that Valheim gives you lets you do even boring tasks in an interesting way, making sure you never are bored and you're always doing something fun and interesting, which is the key to keeping a player engaged and making the game fun. And I think that's why Valheim is so good for hardcore playthroughs. If there's always so many ways to do something and they all work equally as well, then every playthrough will be different and you'll never get bored. In addition, for allowing variety between playthroughs, it also has very tense situations and risky decision making. That could be the difference between continuing your playthrough and losing hours. I've been following this game since launch, and with the regular updates that this game has been receiving, I think it could definitely join the greats of the sandbox survival genre. And if you're gonna take anything from this video, is that there's always another way to do something, so don't give up and find another way. Thank you for watching, and if you think there's any other games I should cover, please let me know in the comments below, or let me know your favorite Fallout 3 DLC.